Liam was born different. From his very first breath, his legs were twisted and weak, unable to support him. His parents looked at him with a mixture of shock and disappointment, as if they hadn't expected a son who wouldn't be able to walk like other children. His father, a proud man who valued strength and independence, barely looked at him. His mother avoided his gaze, her smile fading as she held him in her arms. They both wanted a child, but not like this. As Liam grew, he noticed the way his parents treated him. They didn't hold him close or smile at him the way other parents did with their children. His father spent most of his time away from home, barely talking to Liam. His mother, while gentler, would often look at him with a distant expression, almost as if he were a task she had to handle rather than her own child. Every time she helped him put on his leg braces or assisted him to the bathroom, she'd sigh as if it were a heavy burden. Liam didn't understand why his parents felt this way, but the sadness in his heart was real. He began to wonder if he had done something wrong by simply being born the way he was. School was no easier for him. While other children ran, played, and laughed, Liam sat on the sidelines, watching. He wished he could join them, but his legs wouldn't allow it. Sometimes he tried to speak up or join in, but the kids avoided him, unsure of how to treat someone so different. His teachers, too, were often too busy to help. Over time, Liam learned that he was mostly on his own. He felt like a ghost in the classroom, there but unseen, unheard, as if he didn't truly belong. At home, Liam's loneliness deepened. His parents had become used to him staying out of their way, and they offered little beyond the basics. They fed him, clothed him, but that was it. There were no bedtime stories, no comforting words, no warmth. His father was almost never around, and his mother rarely spoke to him unless it was necessary. Sometimes he'd catch her looking at him with a sadness he couldn't understand, but she never talked about it. As Liam entered his teenage years, his struggles only grew. He was the target of thoughtless remarks from classmates who didn't understand the pain he carried. When they mocked his awkward movements or ignored him in group activities, he learned to retreat further into himself. He felt like he didn't matter, like he was invisible, and so he began to hide behind books, where he could at least escape into a world of adventure and courage. One night, on his 16th birthday, Liam accidentally overheard his parents talking about him. They were discussing his future, but not with excitement or hope. Instead, they spoke of sending him to a care facility when he turned 18, so he would be taken care of by others. His father said it would be best for everyone, and his mother quietly agreed. Listening to them broke something inside of Liam. He realized then that he was truly alone, and no one was going to come and make things better for him. From that moment on, Liam knew he had to rely on himself. He stopped hoping his parents would change and started focusing on ways to build a life for himself. He saved small amounts of money from online tutoring jobs and freelance work he could manage from home. He pushed himself to study hard, determined to succeed despite his situation. He knew he was physically limited, but his mind was strong, and he clung to that strength. Over time, Liam's inner strength grew. He stopped seeing himself as a burden and started to believe that he could build a life that didn't depend on anyone's pity or approval. Though the pain of his past stayed with him, he didn't let it control him. Instead, he channeled that pain into motivation. He knew he couldn't change what had happened, but he could change what lay ahead. In the end, Liam found a path that led him far from the shadows of his past. He had faced a lifetime of rejection, but he had learned to keep moving forward, one small step at a time. And for the first time, he felt that he truly belonged to himself. As Liam grew into adulthood, he faced the world on his own terms. With no support from his family, he had to navigate life in ways he had never been taught. He used what little money he had saved to rent a small, modest apartment in a quiet neighborhood. The space was simple, but it was his own, a place where he finally felt free from the silent weight of his parents' disappointment. Getting by was hard. Liam had to rely on his determination and intellect, finding freelance work that allowed him to work from home. The work was sporadic, and he struggled to pay bills and buy groceries at times, but he learned to live with very little. Every meal, every night in his tiny apartment, was a reminder that he had built this life himself. It wasn't easy, but it was his. For the first time, he felt proud of himself. As he gained confidence in his work, he started exploring ways to improve his life further. He taught himself skills that would help him secure better-paying jobs, studying online whenever he had free time. He practiced web design, learned about digital marketing, and expanded his writing skills. Slowly but surely, his efforts paid off, and he started receiving better projects. His income grew, though he kept his life modest, knowing that the road ahead was still uncertain. One day, while searching for new projects, Liam came across an online support group for people with physical disabilities. He had never thought about connecting with others who shared his struggles, but something about the group's welcoming description made him feel like he should give it a try. Joining was a decision that would change his life in ways he couldn't have imagined. In the group, Liam met people from different backgrounds and experiences, all of whom understood his challenges without judgment. They shared their struggles openly and offered each other encouragement. For the first time, Liam felt a genuine sense of belonging. He wasn't just the different one. He was part of a community where his experiences mattered. Through conversations with others, he learned tips for daily living, coping strategies, and even job opportunities tailored to people with disabilities. One connection in particular stood out: a young woman named Sarah. Like Liam, Sarah had grown up feeling isolated because of her physical limitations. Despite her challenges, she had an uplifting spirit that drew people to her. She encouraged Liam to push beyond his comfort zone, to keep working on his dreams and not let his disability define him. Over time, their friendship deepened, and Liam found himself looking forward to their chats more than anything else in his day. Sarah inspired Liam to be bolder. She convinced him to give public speaking a try, sharing his journey and the lessons he had learned along the way. At first, the idea terrified him. He was used to hiding behind his work, not standing in front of others. But Sarah's encouragement gave him courage, and he eventually signed up for a small online conference, where he shared his story with an audience for the first time. The response was overwhelming. People reached out, saying they were moved by his resilience and inspired by his determination. Liam realized that his story, painful as it was, had the power to help others. He began to accept more speaking engagements, both online and in person, sharing his story with people who, like him, had once felt invisible and unworthy. With each talk, Liam grew more confident. He spoke about his struggles, the rejection he faced from his own family, and how he had built a life for himself despite it all. His story resonated with people beyond the disabled community. His words touched anyone who had ever felt alone or underestimated. Liam found a new purpose in using his voice to give others hope. Years went by, and Liam became a respected figure in the community. He published a book about his experiences, which became an unexpected success. People around the world connected with his story, finding strength in his words and applying his lessons of resilience to their own lives. His success allowed him to finally live comfortably, no longer scraping by but thriving in a career he loved. One day, Liam received a letter from his mother. It was the first time he'd heard from her in years. She apologized for the way she and his father had treated him, expressing regret for not understanding the kind of love and support he had needed. She admitted that they had been wrong, that they had been afraid and unequipped to raise a child who was different. Liam read the letter with a mixture of emotions. He felt sadness, anger, and a surprising sense of peace. Though he hadn't needed her apology to heal, hearing it felt like a weight lifting from his heart. He didn't respond immediately, but he felt that one day he might be able to forgive them, not for their sake, but for his own peace. Looking back, Liam realized how far he had come. He had built a life that was rich and meaningful, filled with friendships, respect, and a deep sense of purpose. He had faced rejection, loneliness, and unimaginable challenges, but he had also found strength, resilience, and community. In the end, Liam knew that his journey wasn't just about proving others wrong. It was about discovering his own worth. And that, he realized, was a victory no one could ever take from him.